Today, we're diving into something a bit different, maybe a bit unsettling. We're looking at those times when a fun trip, like, say, spring break, takes a really unexpected, creepy turn. And these aren't stories we made up, they're real accounts, from people who went through something genuinely disturbing during what should have been a totally carefree time. So our sources today are these first-hand narratives. Our mission is to kind of unpack them, guide you through what happened, maybe pull out some of the psychological insights.
Exactly. And what's really striking of these stories is how quickly things can shift. You're on vacation, guard down, expecting relaxation, and then bang, something happens that's just deeply unsettling or even terrifying. It completely shatters that sense of normalcy, that safety you assume you have. And that feeling, that unease, it often sticks with you because it defies easy explanation, encountering something genuinely disturbing when you least expect it.
Yeah, it has a powerful psychological impact.
Okay, so let's get into our first account. This one takes place during spring break back in 2016. So picture this. Group of friends, the narrator, plus Todd, Date, and Michael. They booked kind of late, right? So they ended up grabbing this last-minute Airbnb, a beach house in Georgia. Sounds decent enough, a plan B. But the moment they walked in, they noticed this funky smell. The narrator specifically said it wasn't bad, just weird. Yeah. Big house, 2 stories, 4 bedrooms, plenty of room. So early on, something a little strange happens. The narrator goes upstairs looking for a volleyball they brought, comes back down maybe 15 minutes later, tops, and their bedroom door. It's open, and they were 100% certain they had closed it before going downstairs. Asked their friends, hey, did you go in my room? Everyone denied it. Just weird.
And that small detail, the door being open, it might seem minor, but psychologically, it's significant. It's what we might call a violation of your safety schema. We have these internal maps of what feels safe, what feels right. When something small and inexplicable, like a door you closed being open, contradicts that map, it creates this little flicker of unease. Even if you brush it off consciously, it's often a precursor.
Yeah, like a little warning bell you almost don't hear. Okay, so that night, things escalate. The narrator comes back early from the club, feeling sick. They'd planned to leave the key in the mailbox for the others, so they did that. Went inside, locked the door, feeling awful. They head upstairs. While they're in the bathroom, they hear a noise from Todd's room nearby. Something being dropped on the floor. So they peek out. Todd's door is cracked open a bit, and there's a small nightlight on inside. As they get closer to peek through the crack, they see someone sitting on the edge of the bed, facing the wall. At first, maybe it's Todd, but no. Heart starts racing. Didn't look like him. Plus, how would he get in? The key was still in the mailbox. And then the figure just clicks its head to the left, facing the door, towards the crack. The narrator felt like, even through that tiny gap, this person was looking right at them, and the realization hits hard. It wasn't Todd. It was some random man who looked to be about 40. Just sheer panic. The narrator runs back into the bathroom, slams the door, locks it, fumbling with their phone, trying to call Todd. They see the bathroom doorknob. It starts to turn. Press down slightly. He was trying the door. Then footsteps. Walking away. Fading down the hall. Todd didn't pick up. Called the landlord, no answer. So finally, 911. Police officer shows up super quick, searches the whole house, finds nothing, nobody. The narrator files a report. Officer leaves. Just gone.
Wow. That is incredibly invasive.
It speaks to that idea of place attachment violation in environmental psychology. A vacation home. It's meant to be your temporary safe space, right? Your sanctuary. When that's breached, especially so personally, it's not just about a broken lock, it's a deep violation of your sense of security. And the explanation they eventually got, it almost makes it weirder. The landlord finally got back to them, confirmed it was her crazy ex-boyfriend. He'd broken in, thinking she would be there. And here's the kicker, the room Todd had picked. That was the bedroom the landlord and her ex used to share.
Oh my God, so he was in their old room, waiting. Terrifying, even if he wasn't after the narrator.
Exactly. It provides a rational explanation, technically. But the terror experienced by the narrator was absolutely real. The invasion felt personal because it was personal space, just aimed at someone else. It shattered that illusion of safety completely. And, what's also fascinating is that despite this, the group decided to stay for the whole week.
Really? After that?
Yeah.
And apparently nothing else happened. It could be a bit of cognitive dissonance at play. That uncomfortable feeling when reality, a terrifying intruder, clashes so badly with your expectation of a safe vacation. Maybe staying and having nothing else happen was a way to subconsciously regain some control to try and overwrite the fear.
Wow. That takes guts, or maybe just denial. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's shift gears. Next story. Miami. Spring break again. This time our narrator, Gina, is with 2 friends. It's late, they're walking back to their hotel from the clubs, and the streets are pretty much deserted. You know that feeling. Late night, empty city streets. Then they notice this car. A black car with tinted windows and blasting music. It drives past them, but it slows down as it does. Then after they walk past it, the car just stops, pulls over to the side of the road behind them. Gina said her immediate instinct, that gut feeling, just screamed, "Don't look back, just keep walking."
And that gut feeling is so important. It's often our limbic system, our primal brain, picking up on subtle threat cues faster than our conscious mind can process. The slowing car, the tinted windows, the late hour, the deserted street, it all adds up to a potential threat scenario. That fight or flight response kicks in.
Totally. Her body knew something was off. So they see an alleyway up ahead that cuts through to their hotel, a shortcut. They decide to take it. They get about halfway down this alley. There's an overhead light, and suddenly they see shadows of people behind us cast on the ground in front of them. They turn around. Yep. 3 guys walking behind us. Gina quickly tells her friends, walk faster. They just knew it had to be the guys from the car. Problem was, her friends were in heels, so not exactly built for speed. Then, one of the guys actually calls out, tells them to stop, which of course just makes them try to go faster, and then it happens. One of the men catches up, grabs Gina's shoulder hard, stops her. Her friend, also named Gina, lets out this incredibly loud scream, just pierces the night. Our narrator screams too, panicking, and just starts hitting the guy who grabbed her with her bag. Over and over. And then, something totally unexpected. From the other end of the alleyway, a couple other guys came in response to the commotion. These new guys see what's happening and basically tell the first 3 guys to back off. And the attackers, they just turned around and walked away. Seemed like the confrontation wasn't worth it anymore.
That's a tense story. It really highlights the vulnerability you can feel in unfamiliar places, especially at night. But it also shows that interesting social dynamic, the sudden appearance of helpers, almost like white knights, as some might say. You often hear about the bystander effect, where people in crowds are less likely to help. But here, the opposite happened. The sheer commotion, the obvious distress signaled by the scream, it likely triggered an intervention impulse in those other passers-by. Human behavior in crises, it can be really unpredictable. That relief when help arrives unexpectedly must have been immense.
Absolutely. Okay, from Miami heat to Colorado snow, a totally different vibe for this next spring break story. Our narrator is visiting their friend Kevin. Kevin's family has this big private house up in the mountains. Pretty well-off family, so the place is large. And, crucially, very isolated. Like, the nearest neighbor is about half a mile away. So really out there. So the first evening sounds nice and chill. They just got there. Sun's going down. They're eating frozen pizzas, playing video games, cozy vibes. And Kevin, feeling totally secure in his isolated family home, hasn't bothered closing any of the blinds. Windows are all open to the dark woods outside, just emphasizing that isolation. And then, suddenly, thump. A noise at the window. The narrator said it was bone-chilling. Both their heads just snapped towards the window, like that instinctual predator alert thing. They pause the game, walk over to the window. Outside, pitch black, snowing, can't see a thing. But on the inside of the glass, a distinct handprint that came from the other side. Okay, now they're properly spooked, both of them. Kevin, though, seemed to get more angry than scared. He decides he's going outside to investigate. Grabs a couple of batons his dad kept, a lantern. The narrator's thinking, that sounds like a really bad idea, but Kevin talks them into coming along.
Right, and that reaction highlights that primal need to understand. An inexplicable handprint on a window in the middle of nowhere. It demands an explanation. Kevin's shift from fear to anger, that urge to confront, it's a classic fight response, kicking in against the unknown, the ambiguous threat.
Yeah.
Our brains just hate not knowing, especially when it feels threatening.
So yeah, they bundle up coats, boots, and head out into the snowy darkness. Narrator's trailing Kevin, who's got the lantern swinging, trying not to slip. Kevin flicks on an exterior light by that side of the house, lighting up the area around the window. And if they had any doubts before, well, they're gone now. Clear as day in the fresh snow. 2-way footsteps, leading to and from the window. Someone was definitely out there. They start following the tracks, they lead away from the house, into a little small patch of woods nearby. Narrator's getting nervous, asks Kevin maybe they should just go back inside. Kevin doesn't even reply, just keeps tracking. So they follow. The footsteps lead them through the woods and then out into a clearing. And Kevin just stops dead, mutters, "What the heck is that?" The narrator looks where Kevin's looking. In the distance, not too far, they see 4 things. 4 identical objects spaced out evenly, standing upright, tall like a person. Kevin walks a few steps closer, peering through the darkness and falling snow, leans in, then he whips around, eyes wide, and just says urgently, "Let's get the fat out of here." Now, they hurry back towards the house and the narrator asking, "What was that? What did you see?" And Kevin's answer, absolutely chilling. "I don't know, but they look like human silhouettes strung up on some kind of sticks." The narrator just felt this wave of relief washing over them when they got back inside the house. Kevin immediately went around, shut every single blind, double-checked every lock.
That is deeply disturbing. And what makes it profoundly unsettling is the complete lack of explanation. They mentioned going back the next morning, right? And all they found were 4 big wooden poles, almost identical in size, just poles, no silhouettes, nothing else. Zero explanation for this whole scenario. And that's the core of the terror here. We're hardwired to seek explanations, to make sense of the world, especially potential threats. When faced with something so bizarre, so threatening, and yet utterly inexplicable, it leaves this lingering dread. It challenges your fundamental sense of a rational, understandable reality. The fact they still tried to go snowboarding later but couldn't shake the image, that shows how deeply it impacts you. The mind just keeps looping, trying to solve an impossible puzzle. That ambiguity can be worse than a known danger.
Yeah, that one gives me chills. Okay, final story. And this one it starts before the trip even began, with a dream. Our narrator had this horrible dream just a few days before they were due to fly to Miami for spring break. In the dream, they're in their basement, playing video games. They hear a noise from a closet down there. So dream logic, they go open the closet door. And inside, there's just a man standing there with a very distinct face. Not doing anything, just standing. The narrator said it felt like their brain doing a jump scare on itself. Woke up instantly, heart pounding. Just a really bad dream. Okay, fast forward. First day of the actual spring break trip, Miami, South Beach. Place is absolutely packed. Narrator describes it as thousands of people you could hardly walk. Wall-to-wall strangers. They're with friends trying to navigate the crowd. And then scanning the unfamiliar faces, they see him, that man. The man from the dream.
Wow, okay, so this brings up some really interesting phenomena. From one perspective, you could see this as a startling premonition, or perhaps what the psychologist Carl Jung called synchronicity, a coincidence that feels so meaningful it seems impossible to be random chance. Alternatively, cognitive science might point towards something like confirmation bias or pattern recognition. Once that distinct face is lodged in your memory from a vivid dream, your brain might be, let's say, primed to spot similar features, even in a huge crowd. But regardless of the why, the experience for the person living it is incredibly jarring and real.
Absolutely real for the narrator. They said the man was not dancing, not moving, just standing behind a couple people but looking at me, just staring. They made eye contact for maybe 3 seconds. Totally unnerving. Narrator quickly looks away, moves closer to their friends, points them out. Look at that guy, tells a friend. But when they both look back to where he was, just vanished into the crowd. Okay, weird. They move on, head closer to the water where it's even more crowded. And later, standing in this even thicker mass of people, the narrator sees him again. Same thing, kind of blending in with the crowd, but just again. This time, the narrator grabs their friend Trish, physically turns her, points. There, that guy. But Trish is kind of dismissive, just says, okay, tells the narrator to ignore him. But this sickly feeling starts building in the narrator's stomach. They know they've seen that face before, but they can't place it. Not just from the crowd sightings, somewhere else. It's gnawing at them. They get back to the hotel room later, trying to relax, and then it clicks! The horrifying realization. It was the man from my dream, the man who was in the closet. The narrator just felt instantly sick, like they wanted to throw up. They texted Trish later, asking if she saw who they pointed at. Trish said no, she hadn't really seen him, just figured they should ignore whoever was bothering them. Narrator went back out later, scanned the crowds, but didn't see the man again. They swear this happened, 100%. Still have no explanation, weren't sleep deprived, didn't feel like they were hallucinating. But how? How do you see someone from a specific vivid dream just days later in a crowd hundreds of miles away? They call it the scariest and most unreal thing that's ever happened to them.
And that experience, seeing a dream manifest in reality like that, it fundamentally shakes your perception of what's possible. Your rational mind just struggles to categorize it. It doesn't fit. Was it coincidence? Was it something else? It forces you to confront the boundaries between your inner world dreams, thoughts, and the external waking world. Even if there's a logical, statistical explanation involving coincidence and memory bias, the feeling of it, the uncanny resonance, leaves a profound psychological mark. It blurs those lines in a really unsettling way that can linger for a long, long time.
So when you pull all these stories together, the intruder, the alleyway chase, the silhouettes, the dream man, there's this definite common thread, isn't there? It's about vulnerability, about how unpredictable life can be, even when you think you're in a safe or fun zone like spring break. These were just regular people who suddenly found themselves in these genuinely terrifying situations, often with no clear reason why or no easy way out. It's a potent reminder that things can get strange fast.
Absolutely. And connecting it more broadly, these kinds of experiences really tap into some of our deepest fears. The fear of the unknown, the fear of having our personal space violated, the fear of sudden threat, and maybe most profoundly, the fear that reality isn't quite as stable or understandable as we like to think. These stories force us, and you listening, to question our own assumptions about safety, about control, about how we perceive the world. It makes you reflect, doesn't it, on your own instincts. How prepared are you, really, for the truly unexpected? How would you react if faced with something that just defied explanation?
What a journey through these, truly unsettling real-life accounts. Things that happen when people just wanted a break. There's a raw power in these personal stories, right? They definitely stick with you.
They really do. And maybe the final thought to leave you with is, what is it about these kinds of incidents, the unexplained, the unresolved, that haunts us? Is it just the lack of answers, that feeling of vulnerability it exposes? Or is it something deeper, that unsettling glimpse into the idea that maybe, just maybe, some things really do defy our neat and tidy understanding of the world?
A fascinating question to ponder. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive today. We hope these stories sparked some thought, maybe some chills. Keep exploring the mysteries around you, and we'll be back soon with another deep dive into something intriguing. Take care out there.